Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using my favorite weapon in this entire game and redoing a showcase just because I felt like it. I am using the Warpick for those who do not recognize this weapon, and I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. This is one weapon that people really pretty much never use. I believe I've only ran into another Warpick user about I don't even know, it's like a handful of times in the entire amount of time I've been PvPing in this game. It's been a handful of times. So really, it's not very common, and I think I know why. People just see this weapon and they think it's not good for some strange reason. And then they're always shocked when I do stuff like I just did, just hitting nearly 1700 damage in a few seconds, or, three-shotting them like I did to the first guy. People just don't expect that when they see this weapon, because they don't realize how powerful of a weapon it is. Now, there are some really good pros for this weapon, and it's capable of hitting a lot of damage, and that is one of the pros. I'm going to go over that in a bit more detail a little later on, so for now I'm just going to get started with the basics. The Warpick is a hammer class weapon that works with the Leo ring, so that means it does thrusting damage. Now, it is a quality weapon and has a C scaling in strength and a D in dexterity, and it weighs a total of 3.5 units. So it's a very, very light weapon, and it's capable of hitting very high. I usually average 750-ish with a counterattack. You guys have probably seen me hit a few of those, 750s, 760s, throughout this video so far. The highest I've ever hit on a person was 1,075. So that's kind of putting it in perspective. That was the highest I've hit. Earlier in this video, I hit a person in full Havels for 650s, just to put it in perspective a little bit. So that's definitely a good thing. I can't complain about that. For a weapon that's this light and is able to hit damage that high on something that's not a critical hit, I can't complain. So, the biggest pro of this weapon, it's that damage, and the fact that it works with the Leo ring. That's where it's getting its damage boost from. It's doing 68% more damage on counterattacks, and that's a good thing. I mean, come on. Who's going to complain about that aside from the people that you're killing with this weapon? I'm not. And, I mean, other than that, it's got the typical hammer class pros. It's great at stunning people. It's great at stun locking and comboing with its attacks. Even though it does have a whiff animation, which is the biggest con of the weapon, you can take advantage of that even more so with the Warpick than any other of the hammer class weapons, except for maybe the pickaxe. Now the reason for that is because when you whiff, people are going to be like, oh, hey, his attack whiffed. He's open, he's vulnerable. And then they come in running to attack, and then you smack them with your second swing for a counter and hit 750. They don't expect that, and that's one thing people just don't think to do. Usually when they are using a hammer class weapon and whiff, they will run away, they will back off, they'll run out, because they don't want to be hit. But with this weapon, trading hits, it will almost always work out in your favor. Now, one of the keys with that is knowing what kind of hits you can take. Later in the fight, later in the video, rather, I'm fighting one of my friends, and I see him using the large club's one-handed R2. I know with 53 poise, I can take that hit and not be stunned. So, of course, I go for it. Really, knowing your poise breaks when you're going for trading hits, that's kind of a key thing. So, that's one thing I do recommend if you want to be good with this weapon and want to, just be able to trade hits with people. It's one of the things about this weapon that people tend to shy away from, but I'm fine with it. I like that fact. It makes fights nice and close and personal. So, yeah. Now, as I was saying, the pros and the cons of the weapon, I already went over the pros being the stun lock, combos, blah blah blah, and the Leo ring. The biggest con of the weapon being its whiff animation. Other cons of the weapon, I guess you could say that it's short, but it's a hammer class weapon. I mean, what do you expect? It's not a halberd, so, I mean, really, what do you expect? Other than that, there really are not that many cons to this weapon. It's a light weapon. capable of hitting a lot of damage really fast, stunning someone really fast. It actually does less poise damage than the other hammer class weapons, tied with the pickaxe. And the reason for that, in my opinion, the reason I think that they did that, is because that way you can trade hits with someone, and then you can keep trading hits with them. So what I mean is, they'll hit you once, instead of stunning them right off the bat, they'll be able to swing again, you hit them again for another counter hit, so you just keep racking up the counter hits on them. It'll still stun most people on the second swing, so that's not really that big of a deal, but in some cases, it can make a difference. So, anyway, this is the last fight. I really don't have anything else to say other than the fact that I love this weapon, and I really do hope I get to see it a bit more often, because it's a really good weapon, and as I said before, I've only seen it a handful of times. So that's really all I've got to say. I'm just going to go here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.